AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR powered by Sunshine. Your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You so. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right. We're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Shea Dixon in 15 minutes. We'll talk some Clemson with Eric McLean about 1 hour from right now. Ross Jackson in hour 3. Ton to do. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
On a Thursday, Cam Jordan went down with a hamstring injury. He has now missed 3 consecutive workouts. One of them, of course, when he was up in Canton for Drew Brees' Hall of Fame enshrinement ceremony on Saturday. But after practice here on Tuesday, Kellen Moore met with reporters and gave an update on Cam Jordan's hamstring injury.
Yeah, obviously he'll continue to evaluate it. Obviously he's going to miss a little bit of time, and we'll just continue to kind of take that, every few days, and we'll see where it takes us.
Well, every few days is one way of putting it. The reporters there in attendance pressed and tried to get a little bit more of a timeline. His hamstrings, depending on the grade of hamstring strain, can have obviously a varying degree of recovery time. They sort of pressed Kellen a little bit there.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it could possibly get into the season, but you never know. So, these things you just got to have some patience with it, let it take its course, and we'll collect more and more information as we go.
Okay, so it's one thing for Cam Jordan to be sidelined with a hamstring injury, maybe days, we'll see, take it easy, veteran player, 37 years old, all that stuff. It's another when you start talking about, okay, this could linger into the season. Now, I want to present to you a silver lining here with this Cam Jordan news. Number one, y'all veterans don't need training camp. Veterans don't need training camp. Y'all remember for like half a decade, every year, Brett Favre would retire. And then he'd just hang out on the farm in Mississippi, riding his tractor, riding his John Deere. And then at the end of training camp, 2-3 preseason games in, Brett Favre would hop on a plane up to Green Bay or up to Minnesota or up to the Jets, wherever he was going to play that year. And then he'd walk in like the White Knight, suit up for a drive or two in the final preseason game, and then go play. Yo, Cam Jordan's 37 years old. He's played 15 seasons in the NFL. He is destined for the Pro Football Hall of Fame one day. He's got over 125 sacks. Cam Jordan don't need the preseason. He don't need training camp. He don't need none of this. Cam Jordan just needs to be healthy when the Saints open up week 1 in Detroit against the Lions, ready to give 30, 40 snaps, whatever it may be, and to hopefully be a demon off the edge like he was a season ago. That's all I need from Cam Jordan. How many times do we see veteran days off? Not only in the in camp, but during the season, guys get veteran rest days. That's literally a thing on the injury report. I don't care if Cam Jordan ever practices again. Literally ever. Also, in 15 years, Cam Jordan has missed 1 football game. 1. In 15 years. And he ain't a punter, y'all. He plays one of the most physical positions you could possibly play, hand in the dirt, tangling with 300-pound offensive linemen every single snap. So I do not worry about Cam Jordan being available, being durable, being effective, all that stuff. So I'm not concerned in any way. I also look at this with Cam Jordan's injury and maybe being sidelined. Actually is a really great opportunity for some of the young guys on this team at that position to get reps and build depth. You know what you have already there on your front line. You paid Chase Young. He was a double-digit sack guy a season ago. Remember, he missed the first 4 games of the season and still was a double-digit sack guy a year ago. So despite missing the first quarter of the season, still had an awesome year. Carl Granderson's on the other side, had 6 sacks last year as well. You brought in Tyree Wilson, the former first-round draft pick. You've got Anthony Jennings as well, who you brought in from New England, although the asterisk there is that Anthony Jennings is officially listed as a linebacker, kind of that outside linebacker edge. It's all ambiguous now how they list guys. Are you a linebacker? Are you an edge rusher? Whatever. But he's officially listed as a linebacker. Anyway, with Cam Jordan not there, like everybody moves up a chair. So whatever reps Cam would normally be getting in practice, those reps go somewhere else. So everyone gets, unless if you add a play while Cam's out, if you add a player to the roster at that position, which I don't think they will, I think they'll just use an opportunity to get more guys reps. And maybe that's Chris Rumph, who really has an uphill climb to make the team this year. Maybe it's Fadil Diggs, who used a draft pick on coming out of Texas A&M, who, it's Texas A&M, Syracuse, was a really athletic edge, but still trying to find his way in the NFL, whatever role that may be. And then the guy who we've talked about plenty on all of our camp reports, who actually, as a UDFA, came on the show after when it signed with the Saints as an undrafted free agent, Michael Heldman from Central Michigan. Ross Jackson's talked about Heldman over and over and over again in all of our camp reports because that's a guy who was a team captain, was massively productive during his college career, went undrafted, but you look at Michael Heldman, 6'4", 270. He kind of looks like the mold of Cam Jordan as an edge, right? The bigger sort of really prototypical like 3-4 edge who can pressure but can also help in run defense. Like that's this guy in the mold. He's going to have a tough time making the team just because of numbers, like we talked about with Cam and Chase Young and Granderson and Tyree Wilson. Like there may not be a spot for him, but it may be a guy who, as you're thinking of how you make the numbers work, maybe he makes the first 53. Remember, we always talk about it. It's never the first 53, like or the final 53 is never the first 53, if that makes sense. So whenever they do the final 53-man roster, a day later, you're going to see guys who make the 53 cut and sign to the practice squad. You're just trying to protect your guys who you want to keep and be able to sign to the practice squad. This is a great opportunity for a guy like Michael Heldman, who in theory would get more reps with Cam Jordan out. Not saying he's getting Cam's reps, but everyone moves up a chair, so he'll get more reps on the depth chart. So that's one of those things that as we look ahead to the first preseason game, coming up Saturday, in the Dome against Jacksonville and the Saints and the Jags doing joint practices, if you want a position group to watch, for very many obvious reasons, we're going to be watching the receivers. You drafted 3 of them, including a guy 9th overall. We're going to look at a lot of those position groups that we know and where the position battles are. Linebacker, but edge rusher is something where maybe there's a spot up for grabs, and there's more reps to be had with Cam's sideline right now. So not worried about Cam Jordan. Just need him there week 1 against Detroit. And Cam's 15-year history says this guy deserves the benefit of the doubt to get himself healthy and ready to play against the Lions week 1. What I'm more interested in is who takes advantage of the opportunity with Cam on the sideline for however long it may be, if it does linger toward the regular season, as Kellen Moore said it just might. All right, it's After Further Review. Thanks for hanging out with us here. Show Open Every Day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light. The official beer of AFR, the official beer of your New Orleans Saints, and the official beer, Fighting Tigers of LSU. We did mention that first Saints preseason game coming up this weekend in the Dome, whether you're going to be in the Dome, watching on TV, at your home, favorite restaurant, watering hole, all throughout the rest of the summer. And this football season, whether you're cheering for the Hoodats or for the Tigers, make sure you drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of the LSU Tigers, the official beer of the New Orleans Saints. All right, glad to have you hanging out with us here. Thanks to Muse for holding it down the past couple of days. I had an emergency appendectomy on Saturday morning, and that was not fun. So I'd highly recommend, if anyone is considering it, don't do that. Do go to the doctor if you don't feel good, which is the moral of the story and the lesson here. But if you can help it, don't get appendicitis, because that sucks a lot. And God bless all the ladies in our lives who have given birth, because I can only imagine childbirth has to be more painful than appendicitis. But I can't imagine anything a male could experience that would be more painful than appendicitis. Unless if someone walked in here and like chopped off my arm. Would that be more painful, I would assume? Like chopping off a limb?
Yeah.
Probably.
With no aesthetic, like anesthesia, yeah, I think that'd be more painful.
I've broken bones. I've torn my meniscus. I've had stuff. Nothing. Ooh. Phew. When I walked in and saw you on Friday, I was like, Muse, you're piloting the ship today, friend. I'm leaving.
I think
it was a bad day for
I think your exact quote was, bro, something's not right.
Something was not right.
Something was not right.
Something was not right. So, again, the moral of the story, the thing that I've tried. You know what? I want to read this real quick because we're running late and I need to go to break. But I got this text on the show text line. It just came in from a guy named Brian. And we talked about this. Remember, we talked about it with Steven Garcia.
Yep.
The former South Carolina, it was Steven Garcia, right?
It was Steven Garcia, yes.
Former South Carolina quarterback, popped up with stage 4 cancer. Just didn't go to the doctor. 39 years old, something like that. Popped up stage 4 cancer. And I took the moment to say, guys, go to the doctor. Brian sent me this. He said, because he sent me a message several months ago, and he said, in July, he said, due to a few things you said on a summer show, I made an appointment to have a scheduled date for my first colonoscopy. Don't have a primary doctor, but working on it, etc. He sent me a message today, and he said, I had the colonoscopy. Thankfully, everything was good. They found a few polyps. I'll need to do another one next year, but the whole process was actually very easy. I definitely won't be nervous next time. He said, kind of like your weekend event, glad to hear everything's good. So my doctor also noticed something on my back, had me go see our friend who's a dermatologist. Test came back as a type of skin cancer. Thankfully, said it can be removed easily, so there's no need to worry. Said even though your show is centered around sports, majority men are listening. You definitely help people with other things more important than sports. He went on. Bottom line is, thanks to Brian for that. Go to the doctor. Don't be stubborn and stupid. If you don't feel good, go to the doctor. Get your stuff taken care of. Congrats to Brian on that. And thanks to Dr. Tyler Boudreau, who saw me and brought me over to the ER. And thanks to everybody over at Our Lady of the Lake, Dr. Mark Laperouse, who runs the ER over there. First class. Everything was awesome. It was actually very surprising how you could be in such a frenetic environment with literal emergencies everywhere, but people were kind and calm and friendly and empathetic, but also urgent. And they were fantastic. So thanks to everybody over at Our Lady of the Lake for the care they gave me and my family on Friday and Saturday. All right, it's After Further Review. We're powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Shea Dixon next.
AFR.
Love telling you about River City's 1 hour air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001 or 1hourbr.com. Spell it out, O-N-E, 1hourbr.com. If your AC isn't keeping up, our friends at River City's 1 hour air can help. They treat you like family. Man, they do awesome work, and the reason that they've been a leader and have had double the amount of 5-star Google reviews than the next closest competitor for 4 decades is because of people like Cody Rogers. This 5-star review from Glenn Young said, Cody Rogers of River City's 1 hour air did an exceptional job at inspecting and tuning up our HVAC system. I bird dogged the entire visit since this was their first time here. Cody not only did great work, but also gave accurate and thorough explanations of what was being done and why. You couldn't ask for better service. We're very pleased. Notice the price paid included not only routine inspection, but also a soft start kit for our upstairs AC compressor. It's River City's 1 hour air, 752-0001.
After Further Review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Always appreciate our friends over at Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Sunnyquip.com, sunnyquip.com. Every Tuesday, we talk a little recruiting with Shea Dixon from On 3, the Bengal Tiger. Of course, rivals on the recruiting side. Shady, how are you, man?
I'm blown away by you. So I was Saturday, I guess. I tuned into the morning show and you mentioned you were fresh out of the hospital, and I was impressed. And then my buddy started texting me and said, "Did you see the live show from the hospital?"
Yeah.
So I had to backtrack and watch that. And then I was more impressed. And all of them, I was like, "What? Explain it to me, Eric." He just didn't want to break the streak. So
Yeah.
shout out to Erica for taking over on the chat.
Yeah. So
I'm proud of you, Matt. I would have prior conflicts would have pushed me to Thursday or something.
Yeah, so Shea is referring to the fact. So I, on my personal YouTube channel, if you want, you can go follow it, subscribe, Matt Moscona. It's Overtime with Matt Moscona. I do a show called Morning Scone. It's just a live stream that I've done. Shea, I'm at I think today was episode 3,116. So that's consecutive days. I've never missed a day. It's been 8.5 years, literally never missed a day. Vacation, airports, a one-day pre-op before my knee surgery, home, car, I've never missed a day. And so when I went to the hospital on Friday and they told me, all right, we're going to do the appendectomy Saturday morning, first thing. Friday night, I put an alarm in my phone for 11 a.m. I told Eric, I was like, I'm setting an alarm for 11 a.m. because by then I should be out of surgery and out of anesthesia. And so this will give me an hour while it's still morning to figure out what we're going to do for morning scone. Am I going to be aware enough to do it? Or are you going to have to do whatever? But I'm not breaking the streak. And so sure enough, man, we just sitting in the hospital bed, fired up the live. And with the benefit of hindsight now, Shea, I realize probably freaked people out to see a live stream of me in a hospital bed coming out of anesthesia. Probably could have thought a little better of that. But, man, I wasn't breaking. It's 8 years. What would you have done? 8 years? You're just going to let it go? No. Come on, man.
Well, a shout out to a fellow Catholic high grad of yours, Adam Morgan. He was the one who put me onto it. And I said, "What kind of streak?" He said, "This is over 3,000 days, Shea." I said, "Well, then you got to go." And then I actually went looking for it, not realizing it was the morning sky. So I was like, I deleted it, I guess. Nope, I found it. Live stream, watched it all last night.
There it is, man. As I've gone back and looked at it, I was very cognizant, I was very aware, but obviously under anesthesia, the way that I was coming out of anesthesia, the way that I was speaking, looking, projecting, obviously looked very, muddled, disheveled. But what the hell? It's a story to tell, I guess. So
I thought it was awesome.
Wait, hang on. You broke up there. What was that? Did we lose him? All right, I think we lost Shea. Let's see if we can reconnect with him. All right, Shea Dixon's with us here on 3, the Bengal Tiger. I do want to talk some recruiting with Shea. By the way, we do have a minute with Shea today where if there's a prospect that you would like for me to ask Shea about, this is actually a good day to get it in. So email us, tweet us, or text 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. If there's a recruiting question you have for Shea, we don't always do this, but I do have some space with Shea today to get your questions in, so get those in. While we reconnect with Shea, remind you about South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland or southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. southpointvw.com for South Point Volkswagen. Remember, 9 different IIHS top safety picks. I love telling you about the style, feel, performance of luxury, the great German engineering. They're fun to drive, all that stuff. But at its most basic level, the most important thing when it comes to driving a Volkswagen for me are the safety features. Every time I strap Drew into his car seat, I bring him to school or wherever we're going, I know I'm driving one of the safest vehicles on the road. Erica drives a Volkswagen, and every day she pulls out of the driveway, I know she's in one of the safest vehicles on the road. If you want something that is stylish and affordable and fun to drive and built in the US of A, but is safe, you want a Volkswagen. Shop South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland or southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? All right, we got Shea back. Okay, great. Yep. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I was going to say yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, Shea, sorry about that. All right, what were you saying there at the end? Or maybe we don't have Shea.
I'm just going to call him.
Shea? He's up on the screen. I hear him.
Yeah,
I think.
I'm here.
There he is. Okay. Yeah, we got him. Okay, sorry. What were you saying there on
Can
the
you hear me?
dismount? Yeah, I got you.
You got me?
I do have you. Can you hear me?
Oh, that I was proud of you.
Oh, thank you, Shea. I appreciate it. Okay. What?
I can.
Shay, that was your shortest answer to a question literally ever. Hey, give me a sense of where we are on the recruiting calendar right now.
Still in a 2-month dead period, which is rare. They usually split it up with at least 1 week in there in between July and August, but they didn't this year. So as I texted you before, we can kind of go anywhere with this because there's not a ton of news, no new Easton Royal development that's major. I know Sam caught up with his mom this week, and that article's up on Rivals and the Bengal Tiger if people want to read it. But she opened up on the process and how they're going to make visits and let it play out. And that's something we had already anticipated, given he didn't commit already. And Easton Royal being the Brother Martin rising senior, number 1 player in Louisiana, number 1 receiver in the country, and someone Lane is still trying to flip from Texas. So they'll get a couple of visits out of that. But beyond that, as you and I were just talking, this 5-for-5 thing isn't just basketball. There is some football stuff going on around the country, and LSU is kind of part of it.
I want one quick follow-up on Royal, then I'll go to the 5-for-5 stuff since you just mentioned it. I remember you and I talked early in this process that the feeling was that maybe Easton Royal would let these schools know a final answer before his senior year of high school, but that they were going to continue pursuing him all the way through till December. Has your feeling about Royal's timeline or his process changed at all throughout this summer for whatever reason?
No, because
Okay.
I think that the reality is that I've always thought that by signing day December that he would end up a Tiger. And okay, it's going to play out further into the year. He'll be at the Clemson game. He'll be at the Texas game at the end of the year. I bet he's at other games if Brother Martin's not playing on Saturday and he can make them. So no, it didn't shock me. If anything, I would think that it's good that he hasn't come out in July and said, I'm doubled down on Texas and not making visits. I mean, he's going to Florida for a visit. So anything to think that this recruitment is locked up for Texas is you're bleeding a little bit too much orange there, if you think that's the truth. So I still like where LSU stands, regardless of if it's now or next month or, as his mom said, maybe mid-season, they could go ahead and shut things down.
He's on Twitter at Shea Dixon, on 3 the Bengal Tiger, of course, Rivals on the recruiting side. Okay, let's flip to the 5-for-5 thing, Shea, because I get asked a ton about this, and I'm sure you have as well. Are there players maybe that LSU could be pursuing that have suddenly regained their eligibility? Based on what you think, what you know, what can you tell us?
Yes. And I think that Lane kind of let that slip in his press conference the other day when he was asked about coordinators. And he said, I let Charlie and Blake do their thing because that frees me up. And then he gave the example that he had been on the phone all day dealing with compliance stuff. And I think he's exploring this 5-for-5 thing. And look, I've heard a few different positions. Some of them don't make as much sense as others when you think of, okay, they got some depth there. But the one that I do know that they are reaching out to guys, and we're talking about guys, Matt, right, who have graduated from college, didn't get drafted, aren't on an NFL team. You're already into camp. So all of it seems a bit far-fetched. But what was the story of the spring? What was the story of the summer? They were chasing those JUCO cornerbacks. And that's the same spot that they're in right now. They're feeling out cornerbacks who could regain their eligibility with this 5-for-5 ruling and be a depth piece. PJ Woolen and DJ Pickett are starting, but Jakeem Jackson hasn't stayed healthy from his time at Florida through 1 year at LSU, so you can't guarantee anything there. And Haven Finney should have. He was in high school.
Shea, hang on one second. To turn that down. Like, let's call him. I don't know what's going on, but I want to get that full answer. This is way too important to have it go. And Shea, if you can hear me, Shea, we're just having a little problem with the connectivity on the video chat there. So let's just call him. Let's get him because it's way too important. He's right. When you think, and the follow-up that I have for Shea is, do we know names? Because he's right. Like the spot after Aiden Anding's injury where they very clearly needed depth was at cornerback. And I remember asking Lane about that after Anding's injury, and he said point blank, it's a concern. That was the word he used, was concern. And I always say actions speak louder than words, and they pursued JUCO corners. Because remember, JUCO corners, if you're coming from a lower classification, you do not have to go through the transfer portal. And they were pursuing JUCO corners, so they were clearly showing you they needed help there. All right, we got Shea on the phone. Shea, do me a favor. We were just choppy there. If you would just maybe start from jump again on LSU pursuing cornerbacks here with this new 5-for-5 ruling.
Yeah, StreamYard hates me. Phone sounds better. They're not looking for starters. Pickett and Woodland are going to start. Jakeem Jackson's been banged. He's your third corner. He's been banged up really every year since coming from Florida to LSU. And it has hit me over time that they really were banking on Aiden Anding being someone who maybe was the third corner. And Haven Finney can play for you, but he's going to be a true freshman who reclassified, so he's still a year younger. So I think Corey Raymond is just saying, who's out there? They signed one JUCO corner in the spring and the summer, but then they went after some others they didn't get. I think this is purely a depth play just in case, knock on wood, somebody gets injured that, hey, we're not having to rely beyond Jakeem Jackson or Finney, and I'm not speaking towards those other guys not being ready, but if you can find a guy who's played significant college football, hadn't been drafted, and can get eligible, that's what they're exploring. But it's baffling. We're already week 2 of fall camp. Pads are on. So you're talking about trying to bring someone in here in the 11th hour, but that's what a number of schools are doing.
Do you have any names that you've heard?
No, I think by design, because they've kept it a bit mum when I've asked around. But I have been told that corner is a position that they are still looking at more than any others, which makes sense because that's what they were doing in the spring and that's what they were doing in the summer.
And it would not be someone that was on LSU's team a year ago, because I can't think of a player that was a senior.
No.
Yeah.
No, this would be someone who went elsewhere, went undrafted, and I guess didn't make a camp or anything like that.
Which would kind of fall in line with what Lane said on Monday whenever he was asked specifically about the 5-for-5. And while he was very non-committal, he did go on a long sort of dissertation about how those guys should be able to go play anywhere, which would stand to reason go get someone else from another school if they have eligibility and could come in and give maybe some depth. Okay, before you go, anything else right now that's percolating on the recruiting front, prospect or calendar-wise, that we should be keeping an eye on before the dead period's lifted?
I do think that Jalen Brewster is going to stick with Texas Tech. That's kind of how I'm feeling right now. So if they're not going that route, they just offered a new defensive lineman this past week. But it just feels like, from everyone I've talked to, Matt, that the communication that ramped up in June and into July has died down a bit, and Texas Tech seems to be doing behind the scenes what they need to do. So if we're talking flip, a 5-star, it's all eyes on Easton Royal, and we'll see how some seniors play, obviously. But there's been no shakiness right now and relative to guys decommitting or anything like that, and they have 16 commits ranked in the top 10, and they're the only team in the top 10 on Rivals that has fewer than 20 commits. So it's kind of sticking with what Lane has said, is that they're going to go for guys that are either developmental or that are going to help them right away if they're carrying some high NIL tag. So I've always said 20. I think they could still get to that, and then you figure it out in the portal from there. But gone are the days where you're taking 25, 30 guys. That just doesn't fit what Lane and Billy Glasscock want to do. So I would cool the jets on the Jalen Brewster for now, and I would continue to pay very close attention to Easton Royal.
Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger. Get him at Shea Dixon. Thank you, man.
All right, Matt, I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you, dude. Much appreciated. That's Shea Dixon. It is After Further Review. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back, and we'll go around the SEC. Brian Kelly has given his season projection for That's CBS Sports college football analyst Brian Kelly has given his season prediction for LSU. You'll hear it next on AFR.
AFR.
Man, the Saints are going to play football on Saturday, and I am really excited about that. I'm kind of a preseason junkie, training camp junkie, but I'm going to watch that game not sitting on my couch. I'm going to watch that game from my pool. I'm going to sit on one of the bar stools in my pool. I'm going to have the TV on in the outdoor kitchen, have the Saints on, probably a cold beverage in my hand, and I'm going to enjoy the game that way. I'm going to enjoy every precious day that I can, every precious pool day that I have remaining until we get into the fall and the summer and the winter. Listen, if you would like for that dream to be your reality, you can. And DuPlessis Pools makes that dream a reality for people every single day in Louisiana. They can make your own backyard paradise, your outdoor oasis, your dream a reality. Pool and outdoor kitchen. Start at the website and start designing your pool literally right now at DuPlessisPools.com. Check them out online, DuPlessisPools.com. Proform Steel. If you need a steel building, you want Proform Steel. ProformLA.com. I had to.
That's very well done.
Oh, my God. ProformLA.com. It's memorable. Look, Proform Steel is awesome. Brandon Golson, he's the man. Been in the industry for years. He's part of the state licensing board as well, so you know you're going to get an ethical contractor. There's so many differentiators with Proform Steel. I'll tell you all the time. Every material they use, made in the U.S. of A. Everything they use, American made. And you can get your quote right on the website. So if you go to request a quote at the homepage, fill out the form, you will get a call back the same day. And it's free delivery on everything, no matter the size of your building. ProformLA.com.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
I make a little room and she climbs on up. I open up a throttle and stir a little dust. Just look at her face, she ain't a fooling me. She thinks my tractor's sexy, it really turns her on.
Okay, like, do we think he's being serious? Like, or was it intentional? What do we think? Let's go around the room. Serious? Like, was that a really impassioned read, or was he intentionally being not over the top, emphatic?
It's a good word. Yeah, I think it was intentional. I think it's intentional, 100%.
What? That he was...
Yeah, that he's trying to be emphatic. Yeah. Like,
okay.
I don't think it was serious. I think he's like...
Okay. Paulie?
Yeah. I think that was really him.
Oh, man.
Lord, I hope not.
We got a 50-50 here.
You got to break the tie.
I absolutely think he was being emphatic. Like, I think... I've listened to him enough in press conferences to know that when, like, quite literally, when LSU hires a football coach, part of my job is to listen to, quite literally, every word they say into a microphone. If the coach gives an interview, sits at a press conference, I have to listen to the entirety of it. That's part of my job. So every word that Lane Kiffin has spoken over the last 7 months, I have heard publicly into a microphone. I've heard every word. And I've heard him in press conferences and and speak really softly and move away from the mic and do the Saban hand gestures.
That's a lot of hands.
I've seen him in a very comfortable setting with the Barstool guys in his office, with Marty and McGee, that interview that just aired. And I think, so what he's shown is he's a chameleon. Depending on what setting he's in, he could he could change. I've seen him at practice. I've seen him a lot of different places. And I think what that was him channeling the old "Come to the FAU" video that they find that. Well, I'll find it if you're not familiar. Lane, when he was the head coach at FAU, basically got lampooned for a video he did. It was like a recruiting pitch for Florida Atlantic, but it was so ridiculously awkward, it had to be intentional. There was no way you could look at that and think it was anything other than him being intentionally awkward, right?
Yes.
And I think that's what that spot was.
I was about to say that might be better than emphatic.
Intentionally awkward?
Intentionally awkward.
Okay. Was he being intentionally awkward, or was he trying to give you a impassioned read on that one?
Intentionally. I'm intentionally awkward. I think that's what that is.
Tiger fans. It's Coach Kiffin. I wonder if I'm going to hear about that. You think I'm going to hear about this?
Yeah.
I know he's not listening right
probably.
now. They're over at Football Ops. He ain't listening. They're at Football Ops. Hey, look. You boys on good terms right now with
Let's keep it that way.
We'll keep it that way.
Let's keep it that way.
Yeah, I've been on the other side of that coin.
Yeah, not too far in the distant past.
Not a too fun way to go about doing this job on the other side. But you gotta stick to your truths. You gotta stick to your truths. All right, tap for further review. Thanks for hanging out with us. Shay was here. Eric McLean in 18 minutes. He played football for the Clemson Tigers. He now works for the ACC Network. I want to get Eric's thoughts on Clemson, obviously, as they're coming to Tiger Stadium here in less than a month, but also on the ACC, which it's basically Miami and then. Is there anything else? I was doing an interview this morning on Sirius XM with Dusty and Danny. That's Dusty Dvorak and Danny Cannell. And they were asking me about, LSU and what, hey, what's the realistic expectation, all that stuff. And so I was like, well, I mean, I think the way most people look at it is they have a couple of spots on the schedule where you think, okay, Ole Miss, A&M, they split. And then if they go Bama, Texas, they split. Well, you're 10-2. So that's what I said. Mm-hmm. Plausible. Yeah. And Dusty goes, oh, man, you just skipped right over Clemson. And then there's Danny going, you give the ACC no respect. Right into his shtick.
Dude, he's so good at it, too.
I'm like, Danny, I get it's your thing, but LSU's an 11.5-point favorite. They're at home. I don't believe in Christopher Vezina, any of that stuff. I spent so much time last year focusing. We did spend an inordinate amount of time last year talking about Clemson. LSU had lost 5 straight openers. Remember BK's entire thing throughout camp?
Yeah.
It was Clemson Tiger paws everywhere.
They only had that game up on the schedule.
I mentioned that.
Yeah.
It's like in the team room, you walk in, the wall on the left, they have the whole schedule. Like the only game they had listed was Clemson. Everything else was covered up. It was everything was Clemson. Now all anybody's talking about is Ole Miss on September 19th. And I don't know that. I think Clemson's just walking into a really borderline impossible situation. It's college football. Anything can happen. I get all that. But that's just going to be a really tough hill to climb for Clemson with so much new, a roster that's not as good as the one a year ago, on the road, the Kiffin factor, all of it. It's just LSU's going to be better coached. They got a better roster. They're at home. So there's a reason LSU's an 11.5-point favorite. So, but Danny tried to play the card. So anyway, I'll ask Eric McLean about is there something in the ACC we should be aware of outside of Miami? I think the answer is no. Maybe Georgia Tech. I'll ask him about the defending ACC champion Duke Blue Devils.
Oh, Lord.
Minus Darian Mensah. How's that going to go this year?
They still lost 5 games with Darian Mensah.
I mean, that's the point. It's a crap league. There's no selling the ACC. It is a crappy league. It's like it was for years when Florida State was a national elite and they ran roughshod over an awful league, like the Pac-10 when it was USC and their 9 little brothers. Like, you can have an elite team in a crappy league. That's what the ACC is right now with Miami. You got a great team in a crappy league. There's nobody else. I just don't think Clemson's there right now. They have been in the recent past. They're not there now. Wake Forest?
No.
Virginia. You want me to sell you Virginia Tech? Is Bill Belichick going to have his comeuppance at Miami,
he's
at
not.
North Carolina this
No,
year?
no.
I mean, that's what it is.
SMU? Huh? SMU?
Maybe. Kevin
Maybe.
Jennings.
He's
they were in the
back
playoffs.
again,
He
yeah.
is. He's a bajillion-year senior. Actually, he might only be like a junior. I don't even know his classification. It just feels like he's been there for so long.
I don't know anybody's
because,
classification anymore,
Lane
man.
did say something interesting yesterday. He said, like, I don't know what we're going to call the classification because really you've had freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Now that you get a fifth year, what are you?
Fifth year senior?
A super senior, maybe. Yeah,
Super
maybe.
senior,
Or a
fifth
super
year
senior.
senior,
I don't know what they're going to call
Because
it.
you had like red shirt junior, red shirts
no
are
more.
gone now.
Red
yeah.
shirts are gone.
Yeah.
Maybe like in COVIDs, they called them super senior.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be a super senior. Maybe, I don't know. Okay, we got to go quick. Around the SEC, hit it.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference, the Mississippi State Bulldogs.
So Pete Nakos is reporting that Mississippi State is trying to get two players back. Jerron Manning and Malik Silla. This is after the injunction from the judge in Colorado. Manning's a safety. Silla's a linebacker. Both were denied extra years of eligibility. Went to the draft process. Neither made a roster beyond May. And so now both are planning to come back to Mississippi State, play on defense.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Ty Redmond is back at football practice after missing the first week. Sophomore cornerback walked off with trainers, but is back now at 3 picks last year for the Vols. 6'3", 200-pound corner. 6'3", 200-pound corner is going to be one of the starters this year.
The Oklahoma Sooners.
SEC transfer defensive lineman Danny Siley has committed to Oklahoma. He's from Arkansas, I should say. He's committed now to Oklahoma. He'll play his final season of eligibility in Norman for Brent Venables. He's one of those guys that's gotten the extra year of eligibility. Began his career at Hutchinson Community College, 2 years at Arkansas.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
And Ole Miss has landed a top 100 prospect for 2028, Antavian Allen. He's one of the top-ranked defensive linemen in the class. 6'4", 289, picked Ole Miss over Bama, Florida State, Tennessee, Florida, USC, Texas, A&M, and others. He's the number 98 overall prospect in 2028. There you have it. That is Around the SEC. Tuesday shows powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Quick break. Wrap up hour number 1 next.
After further review.
REVfiber.com. RevFiber.com. If you watch any of the LSU press conferences this year, you'll notice with Lane Kiffin, the player press conferences, you'll notice that the mic flag, the little logo on the microphone, is a Rev Fiber logo, which is really cool, man. Rev, proud partner of LSU athletics, and they're continuing to show it in many different ways that they support the Tigers. You're going to see some more NIL opportunities, which is really cool to see. But I love that they support the Tigers. I love that they're local. But a huge part, obviously, of Rev and what they do is they provide exceptional customer service and obviously, lightning fast internet speeds at Rev, and of course with a local service center. When you call to get service, you're calling someone locally at that call center. RevFiber.com. RevFiber.com.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, wrapping up hour number 1. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. It will be something kind of odd, but something we're going to do throughout the years. We will get perspective from CBS college football analyst Brian Kelly. And honestly, Kelly does have an interesting perspective on LSU and the SEC, being that he was just the LSU coach, knows a lot of the players, certainly knows the SEC, having recruited, scouted, and coached against the SEC for the last 4 years. So his is an interesting perspective if you can get an unbiased point of view, which you often don't get from coaches while they're coaching, but once they get out of coaching and move into media, they actually take their guard down, let their guard down, and they're honest, i.e. Nick Saban on College Game Day. BK, on a little video on social media, gave his take on LSU, and he predicted the game-by-game record for LSU. Had the Tigers 10-2.
I think they're better on defense. Lane's done a great job in the portal. And then offensively, Lane and Charlie Weiss will have that offense running quite well. They're like every other team. They've got to keep their quarterback healthy. If their quarterback's healthy, then they're going to be minimally a 10-2 team.
Minimally a 10-2 team. He did, by the way, have LSU losing to Ole Miss on the road and at home against Texas. So with the two games that Kelly had LSU losing. Interesting that he said they'll be better on defense, because defense wasn't LSU's problem a year ago. But I do think he's right, and that LSU has a chance. It should be better on defense this year, in theory. You return Whit Weeks. You add Prince Willie Monmielen and Ty Benefield. You return with Pickett and Woodland. Like, in theory, another year of Blake Baker, the continuity with the staff, adding some of the pieces you did. You should maybe take a step on defense. But they were a top 30 defense this past year. Could you go to maybe a top 15 defense? If so, giant step. But keeping the quarterback healthy, we've talked about that plenty. That certainly was a huge thing that affected LSU a season ago, and really been my point all offseason. Whatever, for LSU to achieve whatever it does this year, it's going to have to be with a healthy Sam Leavitt, because I don't love, right now, today, what Landon Clark and Husan Longstreet would be as a start. I think both have super high ceilings, athletically gifted, will be very good players in time. But if you're thinking college football playoff against this schedule, you got to have a veteran quarterback like Sam Leavitt to get you there. BK has the Tigers 10-2. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. Tuesday shows are powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Let me knock out a quick break. Sports Center will get you caught up on national headlines when we come back. Eric McLean from the ACC Network, former Clemson Tiger. He's here with us on AFR.
After Further Review.
If you're thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. FirstSouthFarmCredit.com, 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 First South Farm Credit. Y'all, they got more than 40 branches across Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, really all over the region, and they can help you buy land anywhere in the lower 48. So it doesn't matter if you want to buy that hunting property in Mississippi, you want to buy a ranch in Texas, you want to buy 500 acres in Montana. First South Farm Credit can help you do that. Or maybe it's one of those things where you want your forever and you want 50 acres to build your family's dream home. Or you and your family want to own a big piece of property and you can all live on the same piece of property and build your own homes. Like, all of that rural lifestyle is available. And First South Farm Credit has made that happen for Louisiana residents for more than 100 years. Log on to FirstSouthFarmCredit.com. FirstSouthFarmCredit.com.